Welcome to the Life Career Roadmap YouTube channel. And today I have a special guest, Lucelia Coelho Nunes. Got it!
Yeah.
The whole name, Lucelia Coelho Nunes. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Lucelia, welcome to the Life Career Roadmap. And as always, ask my guests to introduce themselves. So I'd like to ask you where you've come from and what's your professional background. Welcome.
Hi, hi, Cema. It's a pleasure to be here today with you and share my story, my funny, not always funny, but my funny story. So I am from Brazil. I was born in Minas Gerais, in a very tiny city called Abre Campo.
Jesus, I haven't heard
And
about this one.
yeah, it's a very tiny city. If you went from Belo Horizonte to Guarapari, probably you passed through to have a coffee.
Okay.
But yeah, I was born there and I moved to Ouro Preto when I was 19 years old to have my graduation. I studied at the Federal University of Ouro Preto. I studied civil engineering and I finished my course in 2005. And today I'm 41. I'm living in Perth. I have two kids, two daughters. Clarice, she's 13, and Natalia is 9.
Mm.
And yeah, we moved from Brazil to Perth 2 years and a half ago. We got here uh, in the end of October 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. And it's been a big pleasure to restart my life here, and especially my career.
Yes, let's talk about this. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Brazil. So, growing up in a small city, what was the motivation that you had to go towards engineering, to choose engineering as a profession?
Sema, I had no choice. I came from a very poor family. I couldn't afford for good schools or English courses, but I was always a really good student. I always had the best results in in the class. I was always the best, the first one, the more talkative. You can imagine. And my father was a bricklayer, and I am the fourth kid out of five. So we had a hard time to raise up four kids. And my oldest sister, she's 13 years older than me, and her husband always pushed me to do engineering because he's an administrator, and I saw him as a very successful guy, and I wanted to be like him. And he gave me the idea, don't study administration. You know you will be out of context. If you study engineer, you will be more successful than if you do something related to accountant or something like that. So I decided to study civil engineering. Uh, and I was really lucky because it was 2000 and I had just finished my secondary college in a public school, and I tried the test for the Federal University in Ouro Preto. And for those who aren't aware, the federal universities in Brazil are free, so you don't need to pay. You only pay for your expenses, like the house that you live and the other expenses that you have. You don't need to pay for the course itself.
The fees for the course, yeah.
Yes, if I had to pay, probably I would never be able to study because my parents couldn't afford at all. And I was very lucky to pass the test. and I started, and I had a hard time to, to pay my bills and stay away from my family for 5 years. I used to live close. It was like 140 kilometers from my city to Ouro Preto, where I was studying. My family helped me a lot. My older sister, she helped me as well. And in the university, I met my husband. He helped me a lot as well.
Is he an engineer as well?
Yeah, he's a mining engineer.
Mining. Okay.
Yeah, we've been together for almost 23 years now.
It's amazing.
And
Oh,
yeah,
life together.
yeah, most part of our lives we've been together.
Uh,
But yeah, this was my motivation. I was living in that city. I love that city. I was back there for the first time last January, and it was very meaningful for me. See that people again, see that places, the church, the city.
Are you talking about Ouro Preto, right?
No, I'm talking
About
about
your
my
city,
my
your
hometown.
hometown. Okay.
I've been to Ouro Preto as well, but being in my hometown again was very meaningful. But even when I was living there, I had something inside me that was always telling me that wasn't my place. I need to go and find something else. But I was pretty sure that Ouro Preto was the further I would go.
It's 100 kilometers away, it's safe, and then I come back home.
Yeah, close to the airport, easy to travel abroad.
Uh-huh.
So we can live here forever, but
Uh-huh.
life brings us surprises. So this was
And
my
then in the
reason.
case of you deciding to go towards engineering, civil engineering was the first choice, or you were just in doubt about the different kinds of engineering? Why civil?
Because my brother-in-law, he gave me the idea, and I was like, okay, let's try this.
Okay.
Because civil engineers probably they build houses, so it must be interesting. I like maths, and
Okay.
probably that's it. I was very lucky, I told you.
And did you like it?
I love it.
Okay. And
Since
then
the beginning, I loved it.
and did you have many other female friends in engineering? Because we know that for a long time, engineering has been more towards, not towards, but more male choices as a career. But we
Mhm.
have seen the change coming and making more impact in the girls' lives. So, in your time studying, was that situation? Did you have many other female friends or just more male friends?
The majority, I can't deny. The majority were men, but I could see that the number of women um, studying engineering, having a career in engineering is growing up. In Brazil, we are far from here. I did a research on March because I was talking about this, and in Brazil, we are around 20% of the
Oh,
workforce. And here in Australia, the women are around 13%
mhm,
of the workforce. So in Brazil, I think we are ahead on this, having more women in engineering.
mhm,
And in the companies I've worked for, I had female managers. Here I
mhm.
have a female manager. Actually, she's not an engineer, but in the end, here in Australia, I think we have a long way to go. But in Brazil, we are ahead of this. We have lots of women in engineering, successful women.
Okay, wonderful. So,
Yeah.
and then you got together with your husband since university. And when you guys decided that was a time for you to move away. So, as you had the perspective of just being 100 kilometers far away from home, so probably as a mining engineer, you would have ideas of
Yeah.
exploration.
Yeah, we were working in the same company. We were working in a mining company in Brazil, uh, back around 8 years ago. And we had a problem in this mining company with the dam.
Okay.
The dam collapsed, and I decided to quit. After they made a program called redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I decided to quit because it was very stressful for me as a mother of two. My youngest was 2 years old at the time, and I decided to quit. I got, I got tired of all the problems around the. I was working as a contract administrator, so it was very stressful for me at that time to manage all the situation after the collapse of the dam, and I decided to quit. And my husband kept working there. They he was feeling enough, he was somehow willing to move.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to apply for a position here in Rio Tinto because he's a very skilled mining planner engineer. And he decided to apply for this position. And he asked me if they offer me a good salary, would you go? And I was like, of course I will go. Of course, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, like it's the best choice of our lives. But he was interviewed. They really appreciate the
knowledge that he was bringing.
Resume, and he was offered a really good. It was a really good offer. And I was like, oh no, wait, I was kidding. let's think let's think better. But no, we decided to move because it was a really good opportunity for him. He is now almost 45 years old, and I think you are aware that when you turn 45 or more, it gets harder to get a good visa, like a permanent residency or something like that. But back in there, when I decided to quit, I was like sick and tired of engineering, and I said I don't want to be an engineer anymore. And I started to study about healthy life, healthy foods, and I started to cook and bake bread and cookies and pizzas, everything low carb. And I dedicated between 2 and 3 years, 2017 until 2020 when we moved. I was cooking low carb food at home, so it was a very a challenging time when I tried something on the entrepreneur. Can I say, if I can say like that? So yeah, I got lost. I always.
And then you did your cakes, your pizzas, and everything. So you enjoying that life, and engineering became like something in the past.
Yeah, it became like a second plan. Like I don't need that. That's the good point. I don't need to put this uniform, this engineering thing, and I say no, I must be an engineer for the rest of my life because I studied for this. But I got so tired, so it was very stressful that time. And I discovered that I can do something with passion again. And I started to develop a passion about healthy life, about food, about cooking. And it was really good for me. But when we moved here, I started to see things with another perspective. Because when you are in a different environment, I should actually I needed to start from the beginning. So I decided to come back to the engineering when another opportunities showed up to me at that time.
So did you apply for jobs or because you came to the Kaleidoscope workshops that we did for migrant women? So at that time, so did you start applying for jobs before you come to the workshop, or you start thinking of applying for engineering jobs after coming to the workshop?
Yeah, like we were discussing before, the kaleidoscope was a very important milestone in my career here. And I I will go back when we got here in 2020. My focus was give support to my family, to my kids, to my husband. It's a huge move. Um, because we were in a very good situation. We had a working visa, full rights. So my husband has the visa and I am in the same visa. So I have the same conditions.
Yeah.
But when we got here, my focus was giving them, providing them support. So my kids, they went to a school. They had an intensive English course there. So they were focused in learning English as a second language. So I was always in the school helping them, being a volunteer in everything they needed, especially because I was not confident enough in my language skills at that time. So I was like, I will be at home and help my kids, and that's it. And I was every week in the school helping them. But always with that thought, in that feeling that I should start to apply for jobs again. And I tried to translate my resume. Of course, it was
Didn't work.
Doesn't work at all. The way they do the resume and the cover letters is very different, and I struggle very hard with this in the beginning. And I started to do volunteer work. It's very important. Like if you are in a situation like I was, a full-time mom, and willing to have some experience and knowledge about Australia, about the culture, about the people, and about the language, it's a really good way to improve these areas. So I was volunteering at Salvo's stores close to my house. So it was.
Can I tell something here? It's a good point that you just raised, because through Kaleidoscope, we brought also the flagship saying, volunteer. When you volunteer, you are not just looking to get people to offer you a job or where you find a job through your networks, but it's much more for you to learn about the Australian culture, to use your skills to help others. And I have seen so many people coming from different cultures that they have no idea of the concept and how volunteer job works, and then what is possible to do. So it's not using your skills only, but learning new skills, learning to communicate, learning to listen to other people, learning the culture. So, and many people say, you don't need to be a volunteer to get a job. It's not to get a job. It helps you as well, seeing things differently, but mainly you are contributing to the new land through your skills.
Yeah, sure. Sure. And I remember once the guy, I was entering the name and the mobile number of the guy, and the guy was saying the numbers and I couldn't understand. And I was like, sorry, can you repeat, please? And he went, oh, sorry, my accent is so bad. And I was like, no, it's not your accent, it's my ears. I can't listen properly. So can you write down for me, please? Because I couldn't understand. It was a very Aussie guy. It's really hard to get used to their accent. But it's a really good opportunity. Like in Salvo's stores, you can see how people behave. It was a really good opportunity for me. But I was working there for 6 months, I guess. And I found a Portuguese coffee shop close to my house here in Coburn.
Mhm.
The couple, the owners are awesome. I love them. And I decided to work there because uh, it was a really good way to make a little bit of money because I
Mhm.
was intending to buy some tickets to visit my parents. So I was very obsessed of making a little bit of money to pay for the tickets.
Mhm.
But when I attended the Kaleidoscope workshop, I wasn't Salvos yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I remember one day I was in a cafe cleaning and cracking eggs. I keep cracking eggs all the time. And the lady from Kaleidoscope called me saying that there was an opportunity for a civil engineer and they wanted to know if I was willing to apply. And I said, of course, I want to apply. I'll send me your resume, please. And I said, okay, I'll send you my resume. When I sent them my resume, the girl called me back. I forgot her name now. She called me back and said, your resume is not good. So we will have someone to help you.
Salome or Saru? One of the two.
What?
Salome or Saru? One of the two.
Salome, I guess.
Salome.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
And she called me and said, look, we have someone to help you. The lady will call you and help you to update your resume.
That's right. So you had this.
And I was like, that's my chance. And they sent me an angel called Carol Erkes,
Yes.
if that's the way I say her name.
Yeah, Carol works. Yeah.
I will always be very grateful. She
Mhm.
helped me to actually to translate because sometimes it's very hard to interpret and find the right words to describe. So she took like 1 hour listening to me with my broken English, trying to explain to her everything I have done in Brazil. And she so patiently
Yeah.
translated everything for me. And I was like, man, I can't believe that.
She's
So
wonderful. She's my
following your following your tips in the workshop, I straight away I updated my LinkedIn profile.
done.
Yeah, this was around, I guess, March 2022.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I got here 2020, 2021. I was working half of the year volunteering at Salvos. In the second semester, I started to work in the cafe. And on March, I started to apply for some jobs via LinkedIn because Carol has helped me to update my resume. She gave me some tips around about writing the cover letters. So I
Mhm.
started to apply, but it's so hard. I couldn't get at least an interview. I remember one position I applied and I called the lady, the HR lady, please give me a job. I need a job. I need to work. I need to do something. Please help me. Ah, no, no, this time we need someone experienced. And that's not your case. So go back to school, try to learn more about Australian patterns. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. It's
So these questions is because you had that time 4 years gap in your career.
probably because of the gap, but especially because I had no experience here. It's
Yeah,
very
local
hard.
experience.
It's very hard to find uh, the first one to give you an opportunity, and that's the problem. How can I get experience if nobody gives me a chance?
You create
So
the chance. You create the chance, and you see you created one. Let's go there because I want to see what you created.
yeah, that's the point. That's the point. So you you uh, you have to think like you said. You need to create your opportunities to build a strong network. I have a strong network here. I try to reach out people and say, hey, I need a job, I have experience in this, in that. You need to speak up, to talk about yourself, don't be shy, expose yourself, be in the places, like every time in the cafe. Sam, I forgot one part. I did some cleanings in my neighborhood. I was obsessed in making a little bit of money, and I was doing cleanings. And I remember the first lady I went to clean her bathroom, she was a HR for Rio Tinto. And I said, yeah, I will clean your bathroom, but please, first, let me give you my resume.
In exchange, before is your business card is my resume here,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah, here's my police clearance and my resume attached. So yeah, you say right, you said right. We need to create the opportunities, and Kaleidoscope open some doors for me. And thankful to the help of Carol, I could update my resume, I could update my LinkedIn profile. This is a key. Here they use LinkedIn a lot to search for people, to exchange informations. It's very important to keep the LinkedIn profile updated.
That's right.
And
So if you decide to have a LinkedIn, have a proper one, not just
yeah,
halfway, because many people say you have to have a LinkedIn profile. But when you look to the profile, it's better you not having one because it's not there.
yeah, it seems to be a Facebook or an
Yes,
Instagram profile. Please,
that's
people,
right.
learn how to use
How to use it,
social
how
media.
to, yeah.
If you have an Instagram profile, you can put photos on, traveling around, drinking some beers. That's not the problem. But on LinkedIn, act professionally.
Yes,
Have
that's
a
right.
good picture of yourself. I need to update my pictures,
Oh,
by the way.
you have a
It's
good
good
one
to,
now.
yeah, it's good to have a good picture, like
Yes,
showing that you are a professional, that you are mature, grown up, not
yeah.
a kid, not a, it's an important tip for those who are willing to build a career here in Australia, I think.
So going through all the opportunity creation that you went out talking to people, saying who you are, what you can do, uh, and then getting the help of Kaleidoscope through Carol, and getting yourself knowing what is possible, right? Because in civil engineering, as any other engineering, it's very broad. You can work
Yeah.
in different positions, right? And I believe your main situation, your struggle is because you didn't know how to use your transferable skills in Australia. Because you had these skills with a different job title that doesn't exist in Australia, but you had these skills, right? And how I can say what I was doing in a way that people in Australia can understand. And
Yeah.
it's not just the question of English translation only, but
Mm-hmm.
really the skill.
Yes. Yes, as I was talking to you before, I don't have a word to describe what I used to do in Brazil. I was a, how can I say? I was someone.
A contract supervisor that you're supervising people.
I was not a supervisor. I was not supervision.
But if
I
I'm
don't know.
doing looking contracts and see if people were just diligent
It's,
doing their job.
yeah, it's crazy because I was the one, I was an engineer responsible to check if the contractors were doing what they are supposed to do. This is silly
You're
here in
babysitting
Australia.
them.
Yeah, but doing this gave me another skills. Like uh I can do material takeoff, MTO, they say like that. Carol helped me with this. I could do tables with data regarding the
Data
the
analysis and
technical
putting together
specifications, the analysis.
budgeting,
Yeah, budgeting, pricing. She
planning,
yeah,
time management, many
yeah,
things.
And it was funny because I was found in LinkedIn by a lady in Brisbane, and she called me. It was really funny because I thought it was a scam.
Yeah, there are plenty now.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, I have an opportunity for you. We are looking for people like yourself. You have a gap in your career, and I want to return or something." I was like, "I'm sorry, but I'm from Brazil. I'm used to be scammed every day in my life. Is this a scam?" And she laughed, like you are doing now. She started to laugh and said, "No, it's not a scam. It's true. You can check my website. It's STEM returners and blah, blah, blah." In the company I work for Bechtel now, it's a really good company. And I was checking the website and I said, yeah, this is true. Let's go there. I was so frightened because it was my first interview, properly interview in English. Lots of things that I've done in the past, I just don't know how to translate, how to explain. And I'm talking to you in my
Great.
computer here, but I have two screens because as an engineer, we need lots of things at the same time. So we have two screens here. So I was like a TV presenter. I was looking to the guy here and reading what I wanted
To
to
say.
say in the screen back there because I was so nervous, but so nervous. And sometimes it helps when you describe, when you write down
That's
what do you want to say in a, because now we are talking, we are
right.
having a conversation
But
with
do
a
you
cup of
remember? Yeah.
tea.
Do you remember
Yeah.
when you came to the workshop and I said, I believe on the first day you'll be writing a lot, writing about your strategies, writing about your what you want in life. So you
Mhm.
did a day just writing basically, if you put
Yes,
together.
it's very important. And I remember the first interview, there was a guy, engineering manager and a project manager, and they asked me lots of things about my previous experience. And when I explained everything, the guy was like, "Oh, that's okay. You are an engineer, but most of your experience matches with contracts and procurement." I have never heard
Heard
this word
about
before.
procurement.
I'm not kidding, Sema.
I know. Many of
That
them
was
are saying
that
no.
was the first time I have heard of this word, procurement.
Beautiful
And I
name,
said,
huh?
yeah, and he told me, okay, I will send your resume to the procurement team, and if they have a position, they will call you.
Mm.
And I was like, this is a no, but I'm so happy that I discovered that what I do is procurement. So I went straight away to LinkedIn and put there, I have experience with procurement.
Ah, well
Procurement.
done.
Yeah, and one week after this day, they called me again. They wanted to interview me again. And by this time, it was two ladies who interviewed me, one here in Perth and another one in Brisbane. And by this time, I was like, you know what? I will just go to this interview and God will help me. And let's see what happens. And it was a perfect interview. I was so relaxed, and I started to remember things I thought I have forgotten. And I remember, so every time they asked me for a practical situation and what I have done, and I could explain, oh, I did this, I did that, and I started to remember things, and I was like, oh my goodness, so I did a really good interview. And this lady who interviewed me became my boss, my manager, and she told me that she was really impressed with my history of resilience because after you know coming from a hard background of poor family, studying, having two kids, Uh, the dam accident was very stressful. I decided to become a cook. After
Mhm.
that, moving here in the middle of the pandemic, um, struggling to learn a new language, a new culture, and she decided to hire me, and I started to work on August last year, August 22.
That's so
So it's,
wonderful. It's
yeah.
a great accomplishment. And as I said, you went to create your opportunities, because one thing, Lucelia, is when we say this all the time for people that come to the workshops and my mentees. One thing, when you go to a workshop and then you learn things, but then you leave the workshop and put everything they learn on the shelf, and you don't have time to work on it, right? So, and sometimes, and what people sometimes struggle to understand, that is employment takes time. And some people get quicker, others take a little bit while, and others take a little bit longer. But it's a journey, and a journey for different people, right? So, and doesn't say that everyone you have the same results. The results are based on the opportunities that you create. And you create yours, you updated your resume. So when we had the chance of offering you a position, not offering, but showing that there was a position available that you could apply. So you took the chance to get the opportunity to get your resume reviewed by Carol, and also going out and talking about what you do and updating your LinkedIn profile. So you're not just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. As I can't say without modesty, but I believe that everything I have today, it's a result of I don't know how many, probably almost 30 years of, of daily fights and daily dedication. I was always trying to do my best. Like, for example, my parents never paid for an English course for me. So I learned a little bit in the school. And when I was in the university, as I said, it's a public university, so they run some programs to help uh, the students with low income, which was my case. So I remember I had like a sponsorship. They paid me a sponsorship every month, and I had to, how can I say, I had to be like monitoring other students in some disciplines.
Mhm.
We were learning how to draw it in the
Tutoring.
AutoCAD.
You're tutoring them. Yeah.
Yeah, I was tutoring. Yeah. So the teacher was in front of the class teaching, and I was in the back giving him support with the other students. So I did this for 1 year and a half. This gave me the skills to be the best drawer in AutoCAD in my class, in my group. So all of them asked me for tips when they needed to do something in AutoCAD. This helped me a lot. And I remember when my husband at that time, he was my fiance, he started to work before I was, because I was still studying and he was working already. And he bought a new computer with a really good internet. And I downloaded all the songs from the Cranberries. I love the Cranberries. And I was like singing along all the songs, and I learned a lot of new words. Everything I found, I went straight away to Google to check the meaning of the word. So lots of things I've learned in English, I learned by myself as well. And
Totally.
one of the programs the university run was a sponsorship for English courses as well. So I did 2 years.
Mhm.
and I didn't need to pay because the university funded the course, the English course
Of course, yeah.
for the engineering students. So without these opportunities, I don't know what I will create another ones, I
Of
guess.
course you will. So,
Yeah.
Lucelia, what were your main struggles moving? Because you went to another city, you said you miss your family, but you were close, right? But moving far away from where you come from, what do you believe are your main struggles or your main shock coming to a new culture so far away from home?
It's hard to describe. It's really hard to describe because I was used to live without family. I was used to do everything by myself. This part is not a new thing for me. But it's really hard to describe the lack in the sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm. The
When you
disconnection.
feel walking in the street, but you are not connected to anything. Because when you first came, the first weeks, everything is new. So you feel like a tourist. Oh, look at this. I remember doing stories on Instagram all the time. Like, oh, look at this. Look at the square. Look at this tree. Everything is so beautiful. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I love this city. But you know, the honeymoon, we call
Yeah,
this in Portuguese, the honeymoon finished.
yeah.
And let's get back to reality. And it's really hard. It's really hard. One of the things I found it funny before moving, I was like, you know what? I don't want to have Brazilian friends when we move to Australia. I want to be surrounded by foreign people to learn new cultures. Guess what? When you come here, the best thing in the world is when you are in the street and you hear
You-
someone speaking Portuguese. Hey, hello, I'm from Brazil. I'm from Brazil too. Blah blah blah. And let's speak Portuguese because I can't speak English anymore. It's so it's so easier to be
Yeah,
yourself in your own language.
yes. But now you have
Especially,
passed that stage, right? It was the shock of being disconnected, not being part, don't feel part of the new land. So now you have walked away from that situation, or you still feel that you don't belong here?
I don't feel I don't belong, but I still feel there is something that can be better.
Okay.
But I have to say, I came back to Brazil for the first time in January. I spent 5 weeks there, half of the time with my family in Minas,
Mhm.
and the other half with my in-laws in São Paulo. But I think the best way to realize that here's my place was coming back there. I really loved and enjoyed to be along with my family, with my friends, but I don't belong there anymore. It's really hard to say that, but that's not my place anymore. I don't think if I needed to go back there, what I would do, because it's going to be very hard to get used to everything there again.
We get used to
Everything.
anything. So it's a question of the perspectives.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite understand what you're saying. I have been there and working with newcomers for so long. That's what I see all the time. And it's not just Brazilians, any newcomer. We have this feeling that, and it's very clear when we spend a time away from where you come from and then you come back, because you have grew out of that. You learn more things. Your values probably changed, or and then you when you come back, you see that seems everything is still the same there, and then you just see that you have evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's a problem. Like if you don't feel like this, some people come back there. I have friends that feel more attached to the
It's
Brazilian
alone.
culture.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's not the point. It's individual. It's
of course it is. Yeah.
personal. Yeah, in
And
my
it's a
case,
decision. It's a
yeah,
decision.
I miss my family a lot. My father still asks like, "Are
When are
you
you coming
sure?
back?
Yeah, are you sure that you decided to move for good?" And I said, "Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Sorry."
Yeah, no, that's the situation. So when I say like the good thing is going back and see that you have evolved. And many people, as you mentioned, they want to go back, maybe because what they had in mind was completely different that they thought they would have.
Yeah,
And maybe now they value more what they had,
yeah,
right? And come back to the
yeah. And I always prepare myself for the worst situation. Everything I do in my life, we are always prepared for the worst because if the good part happens, it's good. But if the bad thing happen, you are prepared. So I try to prepare myself. And these first 2 years here went by very fast. And I think I am responsible for having this feeling because I keep myself busy. I don't stay at home and calling my parents and say, "Oh no, is everything so bad? It's raining for 3 days in a row." No, I never complain. We are getting used. We love to go camping. We are learning the good Aussie things to be.
enjoying the lifestyle.
Yeah, it's an amazing lifestyle.
Yeah.
Uh, we love this way Australian do things. Like they have a birthday party. Let's go to a park, and the kids can play or a playground, a public playground. We don't spend lots of money. Everybody enjoy. It's a really good lifestyle. I really enjoy this part of Australia.
Good. And talk about the kids. Um, how do you see your kids adapting to the new culture? Was it difficult for them, or your girls, they went along pretty well? How was their experience? How were they?
Another, this is another thing I'm very lucky because it was just so smooth, so smoothly. They just moved, and when they started at the school, especially the youngest, she couldn't say a word in English. She couldn't say, "Hey, my name is Natalia." And if you see her today, you won't believe.
She's correcting you.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Okay.
They actually the good point is my husband is his background is from Portugal. His
Mhm,
family migrated from Portugal to Brazil
mhm,
in the 60s or 70s, I guess. So my girls grown up in two very different environments. So
mhm,
my family, everybody around my parents, all my uncles, my cousins, everybody in the same city, in the countryside, mountains and cows and chickens and this rural part. And my in-laws living in a coastal city. They live in Guarujá, in São Paulo,
mhm,
and migrants. Portuguese have this in their blood.
mhm. They
I
love the sea,
can't.
right? As well.
Yeah. My husband has one sister and she lives in Belgium.
Mhm,
So
okay.
their parents are by themselves in Guarujá.
Okay.
Yeah, so my daughters they love here. They don't want to go back as well. They have lots of friends. They are always, getting along, going to shopping or to somewhere to have fun, to have an ice cream, to have a play date.
Wonderful.
It's been very pleasant in this point as well.
Well done. So, Lucelia, I'd like to ask you a question twofold. One is for your advice or suggestion to someone who is outside of Australia, thinking of coming to Australia, and having all these thoughts that they cannot really put together. What is the advice or suggestion that you give to them based on what you lived in your experience moving to a new country?
I think we must invest in ourselves, invest time, sometimes invest money, like
Yeah.
learning a new skill, developing your skills, your way of doing things, stay tuned on everything related to technology, the cultural part is very important as well. Know about the culture of the place that you are moving to, but especially invest time in developing your skills. And one thing that's very clear for me, Cema, is you don't need to know what you want, but you must be sure what you don't want. So when you know what you don't want to do, things get clearer, get easier for you. Because I was not sure what I wanted to do here when we moved. My husband got a job, so he just got here, put the uniform on, and went straight away to the office. And I was like, man, what am I going to do now? But I didn't know what I want to do, but I was very sure of what I don't want to do. So I look behind and I feel that I did the right choice because I was very sure that I didn't want to be living the life I was living and keep doing the things the way I was doing.
Well done. Well done. And it's something that many newcomers, they don't realize. Moving to a new country, you are, for some reason, searching for a better situation in life, to grow more, to be better. And especially coming to a country like Australia, that we consider first class country. But then many newcomers get lost when they arrive because the feeling of a disconnection and not knowing what to do, not knowing where you're going, they have this feeling of second class citizen that stays with them. And then coming to a new country, what's the main objective of your life? Is to have a better life. But if you do things that you used to do before, it's even worse because you are not in your place. You feel that you don't belong to that space. And this can consume your energy, your thoughts, and your creativity as well. So it's a great thing when you know what doesn't serve you anymore, and be open to learn the new opportunities, about the new opportunities.
Yeah. Try to be surrounded by good people, people with the same objectives that you have. It's very important. I know because some people I met here in Australia in the first sight was, oh yeah, this person is nice. But when we start talking and you say, oh no, it's very important to be surrounded by people smarter than you.
That's right. You learn more.
Yeah, and people that have the same objectives as you have, because it's easy to get lost when you are in a beautiful country. It's easy to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Especially when you are feeling lost like this.
Lonely.
It's easy to, yeah.
That's right.
I consider myself a lucky person. I'll say that again,
Blessed.
because I'm
Very
very
blessed.
happy with my family, my kids, my husband. We are very we are friends. We have a really good relationship. We are together for everything. And we decided to give a step back when we moved here. Like in Brazil, we had a very comfortable life. When we moved, we decided to give a step back, to see things from a different perspective, and it's been working so far. But the main point is be surrounded by good people. If you feel that someone is pushing you back, it's giving you bad advice, is doing something wrong, stay away. It's better to be alone. And
Mm,
sometimes it's very important to give a step back, put yourself in a situation that you are preparing the land, to
yeah. To land on the land.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, you basically answered my second question that was advice for someone in Australia who is a newcomer but is still lost um, about their lives or the meaning of their lives in the new country. So what do you suggest them? You said that skills, invest in skills and surround by people that
yeah.
have good intentions, you are looking forward and yeah. Anything else?
And do what it needs to be done,
Mhm.
because sometimes we just put ourselves in a victim position. Oh no, everything goes
Something
wrong with me. Everybody have this and I don't have.
the
So
universe is against me,
yeah, this is
conspiring against me. Yeah.
nah, please don't do this.
Yeah.
Because I have some friends, some good friends here, and we always share these opinions. We need to be ready when the opportunity knocks on your door. You need to be dressed up. You need to be ready to go and answer and say, "Hey, I'm here. What do you need from me?" And this was the hardest part for me here, because they don't want to know what courses do you have, what degrees do you have, where have you studied. They want to know what you can do,
Your
what you can
contribution.
do, what
What's
you
your
are
contribution?
able, what are your skills, what are you good at, you know? They don't need to know about your degrees, if you have been in the university X or Y or Z. They want to know what you are good doing. So it's very important to have this clear. Focus on your skills, focus on your mental health, because I
Mm.
see very, very often, people getting stuck because of mental health.
Yes, that's right. So, Lucelia, coming from Minas Gerais, what kind of food do you miss the most?
My mom's food, of course.
What's the favorite dish that she makes for you? Then you went to
Uh,
Brazil, said, Mom, I want this. The first thing that I want. What did you order for mom?
I had a big problem because it was January, it was very hot, and I asked my mom to make canjica for me. So I
Oh,
was like sweating and drinking and
with the
eating.
little pork and little costelitos. The-
Yeah, but the the special dish I miss the most is the sausages. The sausages from Minas Gerais, from my city. I spent 14 days eating sausages every day.
And did you learn how to make them or not?
No, I'm not that
I
skilled.
Another skill, just learning to make sausage. And then you
Yeah,
replicate them in Australia.
yeah. The cheese bread, we have a really good one here, so I don't miss it so much.
Hmm.
But and we have good picanha here and
Oh,
good and
yes,
cheap.
definitely. And
So
you also have the good pork here. Pork is delicious,
yeah,
right? For
yeah,
good
correct.
someone from Minas Gerais, pork is very essential sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a meat person. I'm very carnivore.
So, Lucelia, so thank you very much for coming to the channel, for sharing your journey and inspiring many people that may be in the situation of not knowing what to do, and listening to your story may give them some clarity or an insight that they can do something, creating their own opportunities, and everything comes in the right time, right? So
Yeah.
you plant the seed, and then you go and you grow the seed, and then you get the flowers, the fruits later on.
Yeah. I'm still planting.
Always, you never stop.
Yeah. And as I said, Cema, I will be forever very, 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 very grateful for you, for Carol. The help that you gave me changed the way I was thinking. Taking part of that workshop changed my mind, helped me the way you talk about things, the way you made us think and open our eyes for a new perspective. Like you are not alone, you are not lost. No, open your eyes, look around. There are lots of opportunities everywhere. You just need to be prepared and have the right skills. Invest in yourself.
That's right.
Learn about things. Learn the language. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Invest in yourself. We applied for the PR already, and I had to study for the IELTS test. I studied all by myself. Like I was in the car, I was listening to podcasts. I was in the train to the office. I was watching videos. I got home, I was practicing the writing all by myself, and I scored 7.5, I guess.
Well done.
All by myself. So I'm sharing this not to say, oh, I'm the best. No. You can do it.
Yes, take time. Take the investment of time.
It's not impossible. Yeah. It's not impossible. I never studied English, for a long time. I studied only for 2 years, and I was in university almost 20 years ago. But I like it. I love it. I love to study.
You enjoy it.
Yeah, like on Instagram, I follow lots of teachers, giving tips every day. I learn a little bit every day. It's like a wall. You must put a brick every day, and in the end of the year, you have a big wall built.
As a good civil engineer, you know how to plan things and how to build the steps, right?
Yeah.
Well done.
Without it falling in the end. Yeah.
So, Lucelia, thank you very much. And I'm so glad that through Kaleidoscope, our team could help you and to see your great life that you could have here in Australia. And you went out there to create your life with your family here in Australia. So well done. And my big pleasure having you here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thank you for you watching our chat tonight, or whenever you're watching it. And remember to subscribe. Just click on the little bell on top of the page to receive all the notifications about the premieres. And see you next. Bye-bye.